Thank you for having me today. So I'm here to present the solution that won the SharePoint Hackathon for this year for the category of course, SharePoint Framework. So the project is the Apvee Dashboard. Basically, the Apvee Dashboard, it's a complex web part that we are developing inside Apvee Solutions. That is my company. I'm the CEO of Apvee Solutions. And basically, this web part, it's an dashboard that have the possibility to add some widgets that will be, of course, added in the future, that are configurable. And basically, at this time, this kind of widget are concentrated on integrate the personal data of the users that work inside the tenant. The idea of this kind of dashboard, it's not only to show personal data, but work with this personal data by using AI. So we added AI to this web part, and today I'll show you in which way. We use SharePoint Framework as the framework to create, of course, the web part, but we use also Azure Function, and we use LangChain JS to interact with Azure AI Foundry models. At this time, we use GPT-4 or Mini, but we can change, of course, with any large language model that we want. The idea is, again, that the users are able to personalize the workspace by adding and manage all the widgets that is available at this time. Because we are created on a web part with SharePoint Framework, we are able to integrate this web part not only into a SharePoint portal, like on an internet, but we also add the web part as a Teams app or inside the Copilot portal, or, for example, inside Outlook. So this is just on a slide that explain and show how the web part works, but later I'll show you into the demo. Basically, the user are able to personalize the dashboard by change the configuration. So add the widget, change the configuration of the widgets, rearrange the widgets, and so on. We have at this time an inbox, agenda, tasks, to do, my file, power apps, and embed page as widgets, but the system are implemented in a way that we are able to extend with some code or in a low code mode the web part by adding new widgets. Of course, the dashboard, it's completely responsive. So the idea is that we have some columns and the user are able to change the dimension of the widget. But if we resize the page, we are able to change completely the layout and then make the web part responsive. Also, because the web part, so the dashboard is personal, every widget could be personalized by the current user, and these settings it's saved for each user by using the apps folder in OneDrive by saving a JSON file. But the cool part is the AI-powered feature that we added. Basically, the idea was to simplify the organization of the daily work for the users, because we are able to access to the inbox, we are able to access to the agenda of today, the tasks, and the to-do. And the idea was to collect all this information in client side and then send this information by using some into the backend, by using some Azure function to use AI to manipulate and then extract information to this data. The idea is that with this feature, we are able to generate an overview of the daily work of the user by match the emails that the user have in the inbox, the agenda of today, and the task that they have to complete. And then we are able to go deeply on emails analysis, agenda analysis, and tasks analysis to have more information by using AI. Again, the technology stack it's SharePoint Framework, Azure Functions, LangChain, and Azure AI Foundry. The idea is that we use in the client side the PnP.js to bring the information from SharePoint and the Graph API, and then we send this information as a JSON payload to our Azure function implemented in Node.js using LangChain, and then return this generated data by AI to the client. So the server doesn't have access to SharePoint data or Graph API in any way. This make this kind of solution more secure because we work just with the delegate permission of the current user. So it's the demo time. And I want to show you the first part, the first demo. It's the web part inside a vertical section inside, of course, SharePoint. This is a simple configuration that you can use the web part, the dashboard, as an entry point for the user into the internet to have personal information. But because we use SharePoint Framework, we can have the same web part as a Teams personal app, or have the same inside Outlook, or the same application without doing nothing inside the Microsoft 365 Copilot portal. So the user, as already seen into the slide, are able to change the settings, for example, are able to drag and drop and make the changes of the position of the widget, or of course are able to add from a widget catalog the widget that they want to add. There are some widget that it's already added, and someone that you can add with more instance inside the dashboard. One cool thing is that every widget have their own settings. For example, this agenda have just the setting for the width, but if I go to the files, it's the same. But if I go to the inbox, for example, we are able to flag the auto refresh and then make in how many minutes the widget need to be to refresh the data. Or, for example, in this case, we have the Power Apps widget. This means that in a widget that are able to embed a Power Apps Canvas app inside the dashboard. You can set, for example, the title, the width, and then the URL of the application. It's the same for the embed widget. We are able to reset to default or change some dashboard settings. This means the height of the row and so on. Or we can discard changes or, of course, save the changes. The cool part is that we can extend in a very simple way the widget that we want to use inside the web part just by using the Power Apps widget. In this case, we embed on a simple Canvas app that it's available just inside the dashboard, or if you want to maximize without leave the dashboard, you can open and maximize the app, and then you can use directly without change any pages. But again, the cool part is the AI. So the first part it's here when you have a small description, a very short description that is generated by AI by match the inbox, the agenda, the task, and the to-do. And then we can have this just an overview of how many important email I have, how many events need that I have from now to the end of the day, and how many tasks I have to close today. But with this button, I'm able to click here and then open a dialog with the most important part, that it's the separation of daily recap, emails, agenda, and task analysis. You are able to see that the UI, it's completely created in a streaming way. So this means that we send the information on the backend, and the backend send the information back to the web part in a streaming mode. And we are able to create the UI in a streaming mode. This means that the JSON arrive in a chunk, and then we need to, inside the web part, to take every chunk that arrive and then recreate the JSON, validate if it's a correct JSON, and then create the UI based on this JSON. We have the same things for emails. We are able to stop the generation and then restart the generation, for example. And this is the same for the agenda and for the tasks. But let me show you the code. So, of course, I'm not show you all the code because it's a very large project, a lot of files, a lot of code. But the idea is that we have some Azure function on the backend. The function that generate the small description on the home page of the dashboard is this one. So we have a prompt. We have more than one prompt, but the idea is that we need to describe the work that the large language model need to do. We have the part of the object that come, the messages, the event, the task, and the to-do that come from the web part, and then we use the LangChain JS that at this moment it's encapsulated inside one object that we are created, one class, TypeScript class that we are created to manage the streaming by using LangChain and by using the streaming mode of the Azure function v4 in TypeScript. But basically, what we do is the creation of our Azure OpenAI object stream service by passing all the information that they need and then generate the output stream. The cool part is that we can use the Azure function before support for streaming mode. And then in case of error, we are able to stop the streaming, and we are able to catch the stop that come from the action into the web part directly into the function by using some technique, very cool technique. And then we are able to stop the generation if the action is to stop or an error. But the cool part is on the client side, because in the client side, we created an React hook that contains all the logic to take the streaming, the text from the function, and then regenerate the JSON, validate the JSON, and then return the real TypeScript object for the web part to generate the UI. All the types are defined by Zod, because with Zod, it's a very cool library for TypeScript to define schema. And then we can create directly the TypeScript object from that schema. We are able to describe the object. This is the response from the daily recap with a summary and a reminders and suggestions with the array of string, both for reminders and suggestion, and the description. So we use this schema not only on the client side, but we use the same schema on the server side, because with the description, the LangChain are able to understand the mean of the summary, reminders, and suggestion, and by using these are able to create the good prompt to send to GPT, for example, to understand better on how to generate the JSON response from AI. The last part is regarding the UI. This is the complex React object that contain the daily recap dialog. If you see here, when you, for example, restart the creation, the text arrive in streaming, and the same for the reminders and suggestion, but the reminder suggestion are not just text, but are Fluent UI components. So the idea is to use the Fluent UI 9 to use some cool components like the fade to make this smooth effect on make the visible of the component just when we have the data, and then inside render, for example, on a card with again on a fade if the summary is present, and then on a card header with the summary, and here inside the action some buttons, or on a markdown because the text result is in a markdown just if we have the property of the object with an value. If we don't have the value, this means that the previous hook has not generate the property with an value, so it's undefined because there are no part of on the streaming that have value for that property. We are able to hide the control or show in a fade mode with an animation the data inside the dashboard. Just a few slides. So what is coming soon? We want to make a part of this dashboard open source. So these are it's a project for one of our customer, but one of the part will be published as open source. This means that we want to release some sample of the Azure function v4 in Node.js to interact with the LangChain, and then return the data in streaming mode as a sample, open source sample. And we want to make open source the React hook that we are creating for manage the streaming of the JSON from our functions. Of course, I need to say thank you to the team. The team was composed by me and Angelo Gulisano, that it's one of my friend and it's a colleague inside Apvee. And of course, thank you. We have some contacts like my email, the apvee.com website, and take a look on the GitHub of the organization Apvee on GitHub to the project that will be made as an open source as a part of the dashboard. Thank you.